Hello and a very warm welcome to this special coverage. We are talking about the first ODI to be played between India and West Indies at Queen's Park Oval, Port of Spain, Trinidad. And in half an hour from now, the match will begin. But we are waiting for the update on toss. Having said that, India versus West Indies. India are buoyed by the series win in England, Nikhil, and are the favourites despite this being them playing against West Indies at home. We know how well India have performed in West Indies in recent times.
Absolutely. India, even without, 7 of their main players, 7 of the players who will walk into the first playing 11, start as favourites because, West Indies are, have now for almost, 1.5 decades,
Correct,
not been the team they were in ODI cricket. So India start favourites even with I don't want to call it a B-grade team, but even with the second string team with Shikhar Dhawan as captain, India India have started their resurgence in ODI cricket under Rohit Sharma, and I think they are on the upswing with this new template, and therefore they start favourites against this West Indies team even in their own backyard.
Yes, so your top 5 to 6 players are being rested from this ODI series. Rohit Sharma is not there. Virat Kohli is vacationing in Paris, so he's not there. He's resting. Jasprit Bumrah, Hardik Pandya, Rishabh Pant, Mohammad Shami, they're all resting from this series. Shikhar Dhawan, of course, captaining, and he's spoken about the kind of self-belief he has in himself. We'll talk about all of that, whether the pressure is on Shikhar Dhawan, given that in the last 5 or 6 matches he hasn't done very well. We talk about all of that, but first, let's just talk about what we can expect from this series. For this team, given that your top players are not playing, Nikhil, this is about their bench strength and how they do. And I think it'll come down to all those replacements who will be given an opportunity in this series to make an impact here, because that then will solidify their chances for the World Cup next year.
Absolutely. It's a big series for some of the batsmen. India have a few pressing questions in ODI cricket still, especially with the top order. Who's going to open with Rohit Sharma? Whether it's going to be Ruturaj Gaikwad, Ishan Kishan or Shikhar Dhawan, because Dhawan's form hasn't been great in the last 7 to 8 ODIs. So he's not guaranteed a place in the ODI World Cup, which we thought till 6 months back. Then, Surya Kumar Yadav, is he a certainty in T20Is? But has he also cemented a place in the ODI 11? Deepak Hooda done brilliantly in T20Is. Is there a possibility of him playing at number 3 in place of Virat Kohli in the next World Cup? So, there are questions with the Indian top order because the Indian top order hasn't done well in the recent past.
Okay, also pressure on Shikhar Dhawan to perform, Nikhil. With Shikhar Dhawan, I think the fact that he only plays one format, which is the ODIs, and he is definitely in the plans for the ODI World Cup next year. My thing is that Shikhar Dhawan captaining this series, why this is important for him, not just as a captain but as a player as well, because he hasn't been able to do very well, hasn't got 100 in the last 20 innings that he's played, last 5 matches, averaging around 20, striking at 60. I mean, you're looking at a player who has been a legend in ODI cricket, but with age not being on his side, the game changing a bit, whatever chances he's getting from here on, these are very important chances for him.
Yeah, this is a big series for Shikhar Dhawan because he needs to perform, because India need to do well in the home World Cup next year. I mean, they cannot not do well, especially given it's been 9 years since we won the last ICC trophy.
Correct.
Rohit Sharma and the Indian team is under pressure. Therefore, India need a stable opening partner. Rohit Sharma hasn't been, giving the returns he was before the 2019 World Cup. So, India needs a good opening partner for Rohit Sharma. Till now, we thought it's Shikhar Dhawan. They have a great record, 1800 partnership, 5,000 plus runs. But Dhawan's form is concerning. Not only is he not scoring, as you said, Maya, the big runs, that scoring rate is dipping. And that you cannot, on flat tracks across the world, you cannot be scoring at 75, 70. That is a very, especially with the new given template, England and now India have also followed.
Okay, now for all of you, the other thing being Ravindra Jadeja, he's not going to be available for the ODI series. He's got a niggle, got a problem in his left knee. So in all probability, he is not going to be playing this series. That's the news that we're getting from from Port of Spain. But the other thing also is that despite the fact that West Indies have struggled throughout the year, in fact, and we're going to put those records up for you as well, how badly West Indies have done in the year, 15 ODIs that they've played, and they've only won 4, out of which 3 ODIs have been won against Netherlands and 1 against Ireland. That's how poor their year has been. But Jason Holder comes back, and that is going to boost their batting. Nicholas Pooran has already spoken about it. Phil Simmons, their coach, said this, Nikhil, that these guys, the team, their batting needs to come good. They need to be able to bat 50 overs, which seems to be a huge problem with this side. They're struggling to bat 50 overs.
Absolutely. You know, West Indies, has been a very poor limited overs team, especially in ODI cricket since, the start of the millennium. They also do very poorly in bilateral T20I series, but because of the nature of the format, they have won 2 World T20s between 2010 and 2020. So, but the 50 over format does not allow the West Indies batsmen to play their natural aggressive game. They also have to play the role of the anchor accumulator, and they don't have many batsmen who can do that. Roston Chase is one. They don't have many other batsmen who can do that, and that has been the problem in the 50 over format. Therefore, Nicholas Pooran is urging the team, please play as a 50 over format, not as a 2020 game.
Okay, so now the toss news from Port of Spain, Trinidad. West Indies have won the toss and have opted to field first. That's right. The other interesting record, which will make Indian fans very happy, is that the last 9 matches that have been played here, 8 have been won by India, and the 1 match was washed out. So that's how good India's record has been at Queen's Park Oval. But West Indies winning the toss, opting to field first. We'll get the playing 11, and as soon as we get it, we'll tell you all about it. But Nikhil, the choice of who is going to open with Shikhar Dhawan, and that's a big point, talking point. We've been talking about it in the lead up to this series. I get the feeling, and we'll know it in just a few minutes from now, I get the feeling that despite how well Ruturaj Gaikwad has done in domestic 50 overs, Shubman Gill, who's been in their plans, somehow I feel like this team management wants to stick with the players that they have chosen for a particular role for a little longer. They want to give everybody that opportunity to, show what they're capable of. And that's why I feel like Ishan Kishan will open today with Shikhar Dhawan. I get the feeling that he is their backup opener.
Could be. He's played 3 ODIs for India. Gaikwad hasn't, yet made a debut in the ODI format. Ishan Kishan, see, if you compare their list A records, Gaikwad has a brilliant list A record, one of the finest in Indian domestic cricket. He had a great Vijay Hazare Trophy last year, sort of 4 centuries in 5 innings at a very high strike rate. So, Ruturaj Gaikwad also hasn't had a great IPL this season after his heroics when he top scored, had the highest aggregate last season. Therefore, that is the only thing which has gone against him. I would personally go with Gaikwad in this series because, I think Gaikwad is more of an ODI batsman who can build an innings than Ishan Kishan. Ishan Kishan is a better T20I batsman, but maybe because India has already persisted with Ishan, they go with him.
Yeah, also I think they've been impressed by how he has been batting well in the T20Is. And, the other point that works in favor of Ruturaj Gaikwad is also that left-right combination that this team, management specifically, love to have right at the top of the order. But that's a big question. The other being of India's bowling. We've talked about how good Indian bowlers did in the ODIs, and it was important given that since the 2019 World Cup, they've struggled in the first 10 overs to get wickets, but there is no Jasprit Bumrah. Mohammad Siraj, in his absence, will be really the leader with, I'm guessing, Prasidh Krishna, because Prasidh Krishna has been your highest wicket taker in ODIs through the year, along with Yuzvendra Chahal.
Absolutely. I'm very interested in seeing how Prasidh Krishna, does in this series, because Prasidh Krishna, if you see his list A record, is phenomenal.
Correct.
He has a much better list A record than a T20 domestic record. So Prasidh Krishna is also going to be very crucial, on the not only on the Australian wickets, where the kind of bowling he does, hit the deck, shot of a length, the bounce he generates, also on Indian pitches, because he can extract bounce.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to just stop you. I've also sent this WhatsApp forward to our producer. Rajendra sir, because this is the team now for all of you. Shubman Gill is playing today along with Shikhar Dhawan. So no Ishan Kishan there. Shubman Gill to open with Shikhar Dhawan.
Interesting.
Shreyas Iyer is the vice captain. Remember, because Ravindra Jadeja was the vice captain in this ODI series. So Shreyas Iyer has been given the duty of vice captaincy. Also, he is your number 3 batsman. They've continued with Shreyas Iyer. Remember, he's played that role in Virat Kohli's absence earlier as well. Surya Kumar Yadav is in. Sanju Samson is in. Deepak Hooda. So Sanju Samson is your wicketkeeper then, since there is no Ishan Kishan. Deepak Hooda at number 6. Akshar Patel. I would have thought they would have gone with Ravindra Jadeja, but since he's not available, Akshar Patel is your spin bowling all-rounder. Shardul Thakur, seam bowling all-rounder. Yuzvendra Chahal, Mohammad Siraj and Prasidha Krishna. First reactions to this. Interesting.
Interesting. And the most surprising is at the top of the order, Shubman Gill, which means the team wants to, they realize how talented he is. We all know how talented he is. And they want to give him a chance in the limited overs too. Remember, this is a shame Shubman Gill, who did not give much importance to strike rate, even in the T20I format.
But he's had a breakthrough year
this year. Therefore, I was coming to that. And therefore, this is probably his only chance he will get. Given the plethora of openers we have, this is the only chance he'll get to impress at the top of the order. He has the capability, he has the shots, so this is going to be interesting.
It is going to be interesting. So Shubman Gill opening with Shikhar Dhawan. That's the news that we're getting. Shreyas Iyer is the vice captain. Surya Kumar Yadav very much in that side. He's probably right now, if any of the limited overs list is being made, he's going to be right there at the top. The other news that is coming in from the BCCI is that Team India all-rounder, Mr. Ravindra, this is what they've said, Ravindra Jadeja has sustained an injury to his right knee. He's been ruled out of the first 2 ODIs against the West Indies. The BCCI medical team is monitoring his progress, and a decision on his participation in the 3rd ODI will be taken accordingly. So there we have it. We've been talking about this already. This news was reported earlier on as well, that he could be out of the whole series, but he's not out of the whole series just yet. He's only out of the first 2 ODIs. Of course, there is a medical team monitoring him. So in his place, vice captaincy has gone to Shreyas Iyer. How do you look at that, given that Shreyas Iyer didn't really dazzle everybody with his captaincy in the IPL for Kolkata Knight Riders?
I will look at it in the other way. Who else can you give it to?
Who else?
Because
who's the senior player?
Half the team is resting.
Yeah.
So who else can you give it to? And Shreyas Iyer has done well for India in ODI cricket. Yes, his form of late across formats hasn't been the best, but Shreyas Iyer is in the scheme of things in ODI cricket.
Okay. So the other thing being now, what are we expecting from the pitch here, and how dominating has India's record been in Port of Spain? Nikhil, let's take everybody through how dominating India have been here, and then we'll just come back to the team news.
Yeah, India have won 8 of their 9 matches here since 2011. In fact, India's win-loss ratio at this venue is their 2nd best for any overseas venue in this period. It's second only after the Harare Sports Club in Zimbabwe. So India have been very dominant here. The average score batting first here, Meha, is 239 since 2011. The conditions, West Indies, is not actually known to produce great batting wickets of late. Nicholas Purun had complained of the wickets in Guyana again in the Bangladesh series. They were, turning tracks. They saw low scores. Of course, West Indies batted poorly.
Correct.
But this, I think, because of a reaction to that, this is going to be a better batting wicket. So one can expect, if India is batting first with their batting lineup, a 260, 270 score at least. The conditions are partly cloudy, humid, because the Caribbean is near the equator, 30 degrees. It's going to be, humid Mumbai type climate.
Okay, the other thing being India's top order, and we've got to talk about this because it hasn't been all smooth sailing for India's top order in ODI's cricket since 2020, Nikhil.
Correct.
And the fact that now this opportunity being given to Shubman Gill in this, at least in the first ODI, I want to see how he does. He's been in incredible form. We've seen how talented he's been. We've also seen how well he's batted in this season of the IPL, as we said, but how will he turn out? That's the important question, because it has not been very good for India since 2020.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the batting average of the top four, which we have taken, it was 53.92 till the end of 2019. It dropped significantly for India to 39.71 in the since 2020. It's the same period when India's bowling also dropped. Bumrah was not taking wickets with the new ball. Chahal was not taking. Chahal was in and out of the side. There was no Kulcha. So, and India had the 7th best win-loss ratio in the world since then. Before the resurgence in the England series, and Bumrah came back, and everyone's hoping now India is on the upswing. But everything went down. The average of the top 4 batsmen, the average in wins of the top 4 batsmen, the frequency of their hundreds. So, you know, India have had a problem with the top 4 not performing, which is Rohit, which is Kohli. KL Rahul has done well, but Dhawan's form of late is different. The scoring rate has gone down. So, I think India is on the upswing under Rohit Sharma. You will see these numbers change. But, you know, when Rohit and Kohli come back, India will have to see, you know, I mean, Rohit, of course, is captain. And the Kohli issue, you know, we still haven't solved whether Kohli, I mean, he is a part of the next year's World Cup. There's no doubt about it. But India will have to look into, India will have to, you know, put in some young talent there, whether it's Gill, whether it's Iyer, whether it's whoever it is, because India needs the top 4 to fire.
Absolutely. Okay, the other thing being there's some bad news for West Indies. Jason Holder has got COVID, so he misses out. This is Nicholas Pooran at toss saying that Jason Holder has got COVID and he misses out, which also then you know, puts a question mark around all the others and how that is going to impact the whole team. We'll tell you more as we get news on this, but right now at toss, this is what Nicholas Pooran has said, that unfortunately Jason Holder has got COVID, so he misses out. Now, does this mean that Jason Holder was not training with the team? I'm sure they must have already known about this and probably have, you know, have already had got him isolated at some point when they got to know, and the whole team would have had their testing done, and only after everybody else had come negative they would have put the team in. So I'm sure this is something that they would have followed the protocol, because I mean, the shadow of COVID still doesn't leave us. We know of KL Rahul, who was to play the T20I series against the West Indies right after the ODI series. Now he has COVID and could miss out the whole series. In fact, is going to miss out the whole series. But let's also talk about what Shikhar Dhawan has said at the toss, and then we'll discuss this further. He's saying, we were thinking of batting second. The weather looks like it'll rain later and the wicket is sticky, but we are happy to bat first. I'm a very cool captain and like to guide the team. He is a bit of a, he's a cool guy, right?
Yeah.
I will love to take the right decision, but importantly, make sure the process is right. We're focusing on the process and make sure we get the result right. It's complementary, so much of talent in the country due to our domestic cricket and the IPL. I'm sure this was a question around depth and bench strength, given that your top 6 players are missing this series. The boys got a lot of exposure. It is a great opportunity for all to showcase our talent. And then he goes on to talk about there is Surya, Shreya, Sanju. All the boys are quite good, even myself, and he smiles. Lots of fans come from overseas to support us. We always like playing here in the Caribbean. The guys are really looking forward to it. You can't help but like Shikhar Dhawan just because of how he is, right? I mean, and he's been a phenomenal player in ODIs.
Yeah, I mean, just because Rohit Sharma has been an all-time great, Dhawan is not very far behind Rohit Sharma in numbers. He's been absolute, I mean, according to me, amongst the top 5 openers of all time, even Shikhar Dhawan. And also one thing, I know Shikhar Dhawan hasn't done, you know, well in bilateral ODI series and in T20Is and in ODIs. But if you see Shikhar Dhawan's record in the biggest tournaments, which is the World Cup and the Champions Trophy, it is absolutely phenomenal. Shikhar Dhawan has a great record in these 2 tournaments, and therefore I think he will remain in the mix. He's under pressure, but he will remain in the mix, because to sort of score runs in these tournaments is a different ballgame altogether.
Okay, the way I also see this, just moving on from that and coming back to Shubman Gill opening with Shikhar Dhawan, I get the feeling that they would have gone for this left-right combination that we were talking about, and they gave Shubman Gill a chance before Ruturaj Gaikwad just because of the pecking order. I mean, Shubman Gill has already played ODIs, you know, though I mean his last ODI was in 2020, but he's had a really good IPL. He is in the scheme of things. You know, is that like, is that the reason why he has got an opportunity?
I think because Shubman Gill has changed, he's changed his approach and attitude in this season's IPL. I think he's been given a chance because the team wants Shubman Gill to bat. I mean, they want Shubman Gill in the test team, they want him in the T20I team, he's not there, and they want him in the ODI team just because they realize that what he offers, they've seen him grow in domestic cricket, is along with Prithvi Shaw, Shubman Gill was regarded as the most talented Indian batsman in the domestic circuit. These two. Prithvi is not, I don't know where he is, but Shubman Gill, they want Shubman Gill in as many Indian teams as possible. They regard him as a much more talented batsman than Gaikwad and Ishan Kishan.
That's right. Okay, so yes, for all of you who are joining us, the team for today's game, let me take you through that. Like I said, there is no Ishan Kishan. Shikhar Dhawan, of course, the captain. Shubman Gill to open with him. Shreyas Iyer, the vice-captain of this team in the absence of Ravindra Jadeja. There is Suryakumar Yadav at number 4. The phenomenal Suryakumar Yadav. How well has he been batting? And you can expect him to score more runs on these tracks against the West Indies bowlers. Then there is Sanju Samson, the wicketkeeper. Deepak Hooda at 6. Now, there was also this conversation. And somehow I didn't get it because I would still stick with Shreyas Iyer at number 3, Deepak Hooda at number 6. That's the position where he's played. I mean, you can't be chopping and changing just because one person's doing well in one format and, he's in the form of his life, to put him up at number 3 in ODIs as well. What is your take on it? Because I know that there was all this thing about, Deepak Hooda should be at number 3 because just look at how well he's been batting and, IPL as well as what he did against Ireland.
I mean, they're two different formats. So, T20Is and ODI, different formats with different requirements. I mean, in ODIs, a number 3 batsman also needs to build an innings. So, I mean, I would expect Deepak Hooda to bat in the lower order in the ODIs. And Shreyas Iyer to bat up. Because Shreyas Iyer, I don't know, Shreyas Iyer can't bat at 5 or 6. I mean, there will not be enough opportunities for him. That's not his role. Shreyas Iyer can build the innings. He has more pedigree as a classical batsman. Deepak Hooda is more suited to the number 3 role, but in T20 format, when the number of deliveries remaining are less. So, I would expect Hooda to bat at 6. I'll be surprised if he doesn't actually.
Okay. So, we've got to wrap this up, but yes, West Indies have won the toss. They've got India to bat first, and, we'll get you all the latest from this series as well as from the world of sports. I hope you've been watching our shows on World Athletics Championship. We've been following it very closely. We've been getting you some brilliant shows. And so do follow News9 Sports. That's where you'll get the latest. We'll also get you all the action of the final, the javelin final, where Neeraj Chopra will be participating. And of course, today he didn't take too much time. In the first throw, he said, listen, I'm not going to work hard towards this, and qualified without, any sweat, without breaking a sweat. So hopefully he does that in the final as well. But that's it from both of us. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.